Ngithi mina ayisebenze iobdulo obrigando. Yini? Imekdola. Akusebenza imekdola. Uthini lokho kwenye? Iseleberama. Isebenza iseleberama. Isebenza.
Well, new research shows that some people are developing a dependence or an addiction to social media platform TikTok. The Reuters Digital Report 2022 shows that trust has increased in news media in South Africa. It's much higher this year than it was in 2019. Well, hello and welcome to Media and Society on SABC News, independent and impartial. My name is Naledi Muleo, and this is where we look at the intersection between media and audiences. And of course, this show is not complete without your say. So connect with us via our social media channels and share your views and concerns about how the media works and what it is that we feed you. The hashtag to use on Twitter is SABC Media Society, or be part of the conversation by giving us a call on 011-714-6841. Well, we start here this morning. Forbes called it digital crack cocaine. TikTok last year alone gained a whopping 682 million new users globally. And each user apparently spends an average of 50 minutes a day on the app. And I can attest to myself being guilty of this. You know, you dive into the app just to see what's trending and then emerge an hour later. A new research journal titled Addictive Behaviors has brought to light, however, that users may develop a pathological dependence to TikTok. Sinoguhle Mswane is a TikToker with over 40,000 followers. Very impressive. Our producer, Liva Namhlari, sat down with her. Let's take a look.
Ngithi mina ayisebenze iobdulo obrigando. Yini? Imekdola. Akusebenza imekdola. Uthini lokho kwenye?
My name is Sinoguhle Mswane, but I use Snolisa as a TikTok name. Like my social media is Snolisa. I think it's been 2 years now, and I've got 49,000 followers on TikTok. The most highest video, it's about like 550 views. I'm not sure about the people that share the video. I think it's about 800 people. Yeah. I choose to join TikTok because of its fun. Like, I also like to be famous. I also like to be famous. So obvious, when I do TikTok, like they take videos, post them on their status. So that's where I became like something like an influencer. My content is suitable for everyone because I do like different type of music, and like I do Makhatsi. I also do music for videos for Makhatsi. I do like Maskandi songs, I dance, but I focus on Maskandi songs. So it's suitable for everyone. It's either like you are a Venda, Tsonga, Zulu. I post every day, almost every day. Because on TikTok, you need to post, so that you can grow on TikTok, you need to post every day. And then you need to have a content on TikTok. So when you post, like, I started posting videos where I dance. And then I posted the video where like lip sync. But then the views was so low, and then I decided to do like Maskandi songs and all that. Then I saw that people, when I do Maskandi songs, they like those videos, and then I decided to focus on that. TikTok doesn't pay here in South Africa. You don't get paid on TikTok, but you get like companies, brands. But I have not get any brand yet via TikTok. Okay, my wish is to get brands. Like to see myself maybe on sports scene, maybe like my picture there next to the clothes and everything. So obvious, I need to push my TikTok so that they will recognize me. Yes, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to TikTok. Like I can't live without data because of I have to do TikTok. Like because of I'll lose followers if I'm not active. So I need to be active on TikTok.
Well, yeah, interesting. So today we discuss how addictive TikTok is, and we unpack this discussion with Mr. Tebogo Ditshego, who's the CEO of Ditshego Media, as well as Mr. Bongani Baloyi, a content creator at Defining Media. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Good morning. Good morning to you too.
Forbes called TikTok digital crack cocaine. I mean, those are some strong words. Tebogo, what do you make of that?
Well, look, we have to look into exactly what is social media addiction and what are the positive and the negative impacts of social media. Now, social media addiction is seen as excessive use of social media in a manner that negatively impacts your life. So it's particularly important for us to discuss it in the context of young people, because young people are impressionable. There's a reason why you can only drink at a certain age. You can only get a driver's license at a certain age. You can only consent at a certain age. You can only sign documents at a certain age. It's because of discernment and the amount of knowledge and wisdom you have as a young person. And so on social media, we need to look into what are the negative consequences. Some of it include lower grades. That's very serious. Sleep deprivation, which can lead to very other serious consequences. There's another one, social anxiety. And so a young person, when they've posted, some of them get anxious about how many followers am I going to get?
How are
many
people responding?
Likes? How are people going to react to it? And that social anxiety can be life-threatening. And so we need to look into both sides, because the positive side is that there is social bonding. There is an increase in social capital. And sometimes, on TikTok, you're bonding with your family, you're dancing with your parents and your loved ones, and it can be a great social experiment. But we must also look into the other effects that could be negative in terms of hurting your productivity as a young person.
Yeah, you brought the seriousness right into the discussion at the top there, because I think we're having fun. We're watching that young TikToker wanting to build brands. She's building a following, but there's that social anxiety and all those risks that you're talking about. But what do you think, Bongani, of the term TikTok is digital crack cocaine?
I think that's a very strong word, because the way they use it, it's like a drug that's already in the system and rolling. And one thing for sure, that everything that you do has a responsibility towards it. So we need to look at where everything began, because TikTok came in when everyone was on lockdown. So we need to see, like what Tebogo said, that it's young people now starting to emerge, like where they're coming from, where everything is coming from. So if you look at where TikTok is starting from, it started at a time where we didn't have anything to do at that time. Everyone was on lockdown. We were still in shock on what's going on in the whole world. And then therefore we needed something to do. We needed something on our phones, because we couldn't go outside, we couldn't do any activities. We couldn't even jog at the fact. So now all you had was your phone, so you needed to do something. I think that's where TikTok started, so we need to look at that. I think one thing for sure about TikTok is that it's a small glimpse of the reflection of the society. It's not only something that's showing up on the media space, but the whole society. What you're seeing on TikTok, what you see as an addiction, it's just a small, tiny thing. Because now, for example, if a person wants so many likes on TikTok, and of which, if you look at the name TikTok, for me personally, I always saw it as a TikTok like something to pass time with. It's something that you're supposed to go in, just have fun, just a little bit of fun. If you're walking down or waiting for a taxi or something, just pass time with it. It's not something that you're supposed to be there all the time. So one thing that people misled the whole thing is that they started TikTok and made it as if now you are there to get money on TikTok. Like, for example, she's saying that she wants to grow and then have money and all those things. However, the main thing, the primary thing is supposed to be for you to enjoy TikTok. Therefore, from there, you'll be able to grow, and then brands will automatically come to you, naturally so.
But what stands out for me, I mean, at this point, TikTok has over 1 billion users. I mean, this thing, Facebook grew tremendously fast, so did Twitter, but I don't think we've seen a growth rate as we have with TikTok. What do you think is the trick there? Because, I mean, at the beginning, I remember there was talk that it's very much for young people. And here I was in my 30s in 2020 also making TikToks and feeling like the granny on the platform. And now we have our mothers on the platform as well.
Well, they're looking into the benefits of TikTok. So you can do social bonding, you can grow your social capital, but there's also the entertainment usage. And what Bongani said is that he said a few very important things. I think one of them is that social media should be a part of your life. It shouldn't be your life. But also, in terms of the issues that we have in society, he mentioned this, that social media is a catalyst to making things better or worse. And it's a reflection of society. If in a community we do not have positive recreational activities, starting from the facilities, sports fields, having tournaments that they can participate in, like chess tournaments, speech competition, creative writing. If you do not have those in place from an infrastructure and an organizational perspective, then you will find people going into other ways to socialize. And some of it will be social media, but others will be completely different and very destructive. And so we should look into the research, because you were talking about the research. There's research, very recent from this year, that was published in the British Food Journal that indicates that social media has an impact on your life satisfaction and also your perception of your satisfaction with your body. And it also, there's a correlation between social media addiction as well as overeating. People who overuse social media have a higher likelihood of having a very high body mass index. Sure. And so this is serious. It deals with our health. But it's also positive in the sense that you can like, for example, you asked the question around, why did TikTok blow up so quickly? Social media is very appealing to people who have social anxiety. People who struggle, with interpersonal relationships, people who are shy. And then social media becomes a tool for them to go out there, to communicate and to bond with people. But according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, they say that the maximum usage per day should be 2 hours. And research also indicates that
quite
parents...
a lot, isn't it?
Maximum.
Yeah.
So maximum is 2 hours. You have people who are checking social media, throughout the day, more than 2 hours. And so parents need to play a greater role in educating their kids around social media and helping them, to post responsibly. Yeah.
Look, I really want to get into the seriousness of it in a little bit more depth, but can we celebrate something for a minute? The hashtag Amapiano. Yeah. Look at that. On TikTok. I mean, you had Shaquille O'Neal across the world. You had global stars dancing to Amapiano as a result of the content that South Africans were creating on TikTok. Surely that's something we can celebrate, and then we'll get back to the work that needs to be done to fix it.
Right. So from my side, I work with these TikTokers, and especially like the TikTokers, I think the highest that I work with is Pokusha. She's on 3.4 million, and then Whitney is like on 2.8 million, and then Popping, these are South African content creators. Popping is on 1.9 million. I'm like, all these people have eyeballs, like 3.4 million people are actually watching your content, and it goes viral on social media. And one thing for sure is that the problem is that people are chasing algorithms more than the actual content itself, because one thing that we need to celebrate is that if a song, a South African song, can actually reach on an international scale, that's something worth celebrating. And that's what we need to normalize, is that, for example, if I love a song and I'm starting to do a dance on it, it's something that I need to enjoy. And then I know there's this excitement that gets to you when you start trending and it goes up. And then the excitement, everything's like going up, and it was like, flip, I'm getting followers, 10,000 people following, oh flip, and then you get excited. However, the thing that people that are forgetting is that there's mental health around this whole thing. And one thing for sure is that we need to be aware of these things, that when we do it as a country and celebrate something like this, the more we see positive things to it, the more we'll start to enjoy on a positive note.
I have to say this. As you got excited, I thought to myself, there's that high. There's that. But I mean, and this is the sense that we all get when we post something on social media, and this is exactly what Deborah was warning against. But are you addicted to social media? Perhaps you're addicted to TikTok. Give us a call. call, 011-714-6841. When we come back, we'll get some of the thoughts of South Africans that we asked on the streets about their addiction to social media. Stay with us. Welcome back. So we're talking about a growing addiction to social media platform TikTok. Give us a call if you'd like to be part of the discussion. The number is 011-714-6841. So my producer, Leven Mhlari, hit the streets and asked some people, some South Africans, if they are addicted to TikTok. This is what they had to say.
I find it useless because of it can be addictive and it wastes time.
Yes, I'm addicted because I have to promote my brand and most of my lifestyle, like the trends and everything is there.
As youth, man, we facing a lot of challenges and stuff, and we need a break because of, of lockdown and COVID. So we needed relief and stuff. So TikTok, I can say, it's the, edutainment that a lot of people are missing out if they are not there.
Yeah, because on average for a week, it says 8 hours. So I would say I'm addicted because I'm always on my phone and I can't survive without my phone.
Yeah, there it is. And we're admitting to this addiction. And I wonder if we actually talk about it enough. And you're doing a lot of research into some of this work. Do we actually educate even our parents about the addiction to social media?
Well, look, on my side, I'm the president of PRISA, Public Relations Institute of Southern Africa, and CEO of Untitled Media. And we work with the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture to do social media masterclasses across the country. So we do reach out to young people and teach them how to use social media productively, because there is a productive element to it. Firstly, you can use social media to build your brand, to connect with people. I, for example, would have never connected with the president of Rwanda, Mr. Paul Kagame. He follows me on Twitter. And these are connections that we have made. I mean, Master KG with Jerusalem has more than 1 billion views, and he's put South Africa on the map. But it's not just about the content. I don't agree that it's digital crack. I think it's not about what it is, it's about how you use it.
Right.
If you go on social media, you must be clear about what are my objectives. You can have social objectives. I want to get more friends. I want to build bonds. But also you can have your career objectives. And this is very important. And as you are analyzing yourself, just look at how close are you to those objectives. And as soon as you start to stray, it becomes a problem. But where there's an issue is with the young people who are under the age of 16 who struggle with discernment. And now you're thinking, you are publishing information to the public. You may not be educated around the privacy settings. Your parents might not know, the consequences of what you're doing. And it can have permanent consequences on your reputation, which could be career limiting. So we need to look into how do we use it responsibly. And I think if you know your objectives, you will be going in the right direction.
Yeah, I always advocate that parents themselves be on these platforms to see what their children are doing, because they most of the time don't really know. Now, you've talked about what the objectives are when you do use social media and how to use it productively. One of the things I've been particularly concerned about is seeing young people on Twitter really starting to make social media their career. So instead of using social media for their career, perhaps a young medical student posting about their studies or that sort of thing, the career itself becomes nyachaiva. I wonder if that's a concern, that the account itself is then the career.
Okay, so from myself, I think the work that I do mostly with the influencers is that I help them bridge the gap between the brand and the actual content that they're doing, because now, at the end of the day, when you want to turn this into a career, it's something that you need to look at the sustainability of it. Because one thing for sure is that if you don't look at it from a sustainability point of view, you're going to come down and be popular and then go back down, and then you're going to have depression after that. So one thing for sure that when you look at the aspect that he said something very important, that it's all about networking also when it comes to this, is that when you network with other influencers as well, it becomes a situation where we're able to communicate on what's going on. We're able to say, okay, cool, are we dancing only now or are we educating now? Because now when you have so many followers, you've got a responsibility also that people are actually watching you. They're actually going to do what you do. So it's now you have the power to say, okay, I'm going to educate you guys to say, I'm not going to swear. One thing I always applaud TikTok is that they're quick on taking videos that show strong adult, content. They're so quick to take it down. Like they won't even waste like 2 minutes of it. They will take it down. And then whenever you do something dangerous, I know I've had like 2 or 3 strikes on TikTok already when it comes to doing, I'm a risk taker, so I do adventurous stuff. So it's not even something hectic, but they will be quick to take it down. That's how they're trying to also regulate it from their side. But also from the content creator point of view is that all the creators need to realize that they have a responsibility towards the community to say, hey, I've got this following now. This is my responsibility to educate you guys on a lot of things, because sometimes a little thing, as if you're a doctor, you want to educate people about teeth, like the advantages, the disadvantages of having yellow teeth.
It's a great platform.
Dance for it. Yes. Show us the tips. Quick. Yes. 7 seconds. I've learned a lot in 7 seconds. So that's what we need to educate our youth when it comes to that.
I'm going to jump in there. One of the TikToker that we heard from early on in the show saying, I really want to make money. Can they make money?
A lot of money. You can make a lot of money. I think one thing, the revenue model that they have on TikTok right now is when you go live and then you get coins. People send you money based on that. So if you have a longer live video, the more people are going to join in. Because the thing is, it's not even about the people who are following you. It's how the content is rolling out on your life.
Okay.
If you've got interesting content, they will send you coins.
Yeah, I want to just quickly take a call. We've got Tembiso in Gqeberha. Tembiso, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm well.
I'm fine. The thing about TikTok is that you end up like spending the whole day using TikTok. At the same time, it is positive, at the same time negative, because we find us as youth, we love it. In fact, we love social media. We're very antisocial now to other people. When you get into the taxi or when you're a person that is using a private transport, the moment you get in, you want to watch TikTok, you want to do this and that. And if maybe you're not doing anything, it's always about TikTok. And you spend more on data. You spend more on data, of which if you have more followers, there's nothing there's no profit you can make through TikTok or something. Always, all the time, you spend. And the moment you get bored, you want to watch something online, like on TikTok, you always watch and stuff. So I find it positive, at the same time negative, but it pushes time, especially now since we have load shedding. You know that you can wait for about 2 hours and then you'll be busy watching the videos.
I've been there myself. Yeah, Timby, so thank you so much for calling in. I've been there myself. When you go onto the app, TikTok, and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you scroll, and when you look up, it's 3. The time is gone. Is it time for us to talk regulation? Because this is something we haven't quite figured out yet in South Africa, right? About what lawmakers need to do to protect users against social media giants.
Well, I do think that it would be helpful because social media owners work with the laws of the country. And you want the laws to be, consistent with where we're going as a country. You don't want a situation where a 9-year-old is able to register a social media account, and that if you're between the ages of 13 and 16, there should be automatic privacy settings there, and I think the parental guidance is going to be the most crucial. Because parents are the ones who are supposed to monitor, what their children are doing. And there are different ways. You can co-post. So you can co-manage a social media account where the parent will have to approve everything that goes out there. And also you can educate your child. Sit them down and ask them, but what are you trying to achieve here, on social media? What other things are you doing? But I think the main message that we need to get out there is that social media should not be your life. It should be a part of your life.
Yeah. Just quickly, you talked about co-posting. I mean, can you give us some tips on how that is done? Are there actual systems and, setups that we need to do with our phones to be able to co-post with our children?
So what you can do is that you both log into the particular social media account. You make sure that the privacy settings are are good and applicable for your child, to ensure that it's only maybe the audience that follows and that has been accepted, as followers, that accesses the content, and then you monitor what your child is doing. So your child would have to come to you and say, well, today I want to post this and this and this. You'd ask them, what is the objective of this? Okay, cool. Show me the message before it goes out there.
Yeah.
That's a more interventionist approach. But also educating the child, sitting them down, but educating yourself also around social media as a parent is good, because once you are educated, you'll be able to share the information with your child.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, right? We used to say back when we were still growing up that, we're not allowed, we shouldn't let the TV raise your child, and now it's don't let social media raise your child for you. Keep a close eye on what it is they're getting up to. Do we need to have discussions, though? I mean, you do a lot of this work even with policy writers and lawmakers. What sort of discussions are we having with policy writers around regulation? It's a tough one. I mean, we saw social media giants like Mark Zuckerberg 2 years ago starting to account to lawmakers in the US. How do we get that going in this country?
So we need to look at what is in the best interest of South Africa. We need to also be careful, because I do serve on the Marketing, Advertising and Communication Charter Council. It was appointed by the Minister in the Presidency, and we are going to develop the sector code and transform the sectors. What's important is that we need to look at what is in the best interest of South Africa. It's not in the best interest of South Africa for us to stop activism on social media. And that is where the slippery slope comes with regulation. We need to make sure that the interventions that we make are to protect, younger social media users, but also to protect the older ones in terms of misinformation, dangerous content. And a lot of people are also sensitive, you might see, you can't unsee what you've already seen.
Yeah.
And so we need to work on that to make sure that dangerous posts do not, see the light of day.
Okay, just quickly before I let you guys go, and we're about to wrap it up. Bongani, who are your top 3? Okay, you've got to give it to us. Who are your top 3 TikTok content creators?
Oh my God. Okay, cool. Oh my God. Okay, so I think we need number 1. Don't hate me. Number 2 is Porsche, and number 3 Mpo. I think those, they bring out the best. They make songs
What are their
trend.
handles?
So Whitney 8, and then it's Porsche_N, and then Poppink. Literally, those are the go-to people when it comes to getting your songs up there.
Right. And yourself, Tock?
I don't have particular favorite people, but I do like the motivational content, the educational content. And so I don't follow a lot of people on TikTok, but they do look at my algorithm that I'm watching these great posts. So I use it for more educational, motivational purposes.
Well, my personal favorite has to be, there's a page called Naftali who does little reenactments of what happens in a Tswana household. It's adorable. You have to go take a look at some of the content. Of course, be responsible, but go and see the amazing content that's coming out of South Africa. Thank you so much to my guests, Mr. Tebogo Ditshego, CEO of Ditshego Media and President of PRISA, as well as Bongani Baloyi, content creator at Defining Media. Let's take a break. We're back in a moment. Welcome back to Media and Society. So, believe it or not, there is indeed faith in South African media. According to the Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism, South Africa ranks number 2 out of 46 countries whose media is most trusted. In fact, according to this report, South African media outlets are trusted by 61% of the population, which is an increase of 49% since 2019. That's remarkable. So where there is a deficit, according to this report, is because of stories such as the Tembisa 10, and we remember that very well. We still don't know where those babies are. But do you agree that 61% of the country trusts South African media houses? Are you part of that 61%? Give us a call on 011-714-6841. This morning we unpack that discussion with Jude Matherine, who is a media, culture and communications lecturer at Nelson Mandela University, and we also joined by Makudu Sifara, who's the editor of Times Live. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you so much for making time.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. Good morning,
Makudu, I hear you laughing, Makudu, as I read that out, and I said, believe it or not, there is faith in South African media. Why the laughter?
it's a replace thing.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. But for me, it's not surprising. So we've went through some moments and incidents and some news reports that people looked at and said, wait, what the hell? Sorry, I said hell on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, and we've had on social media a number of things that people looked at and said, is this true or is it not true? And as misinformation increases on social media, people then ask themselves, where do I go to get news I can trust? And media houses in the country, you know, at least that's what we do at Times Live, have looked at this increase in misinformation and you know, the toxicity of online and social media interactions, and then said, so how do we position ourselves to become a platform that people can trust? You know, so what do we do? You know, let's plan the stuff that we do. Let's spend more time thinking about what we're doing. Let's spend more time planning the news events. You know, as an editor, you can't be surprised that there's June 16, there's Heritage Day, and you've covered it last year, and how do you do it differently?
Yes.
You know, and then let's introduce investigations. There's a thing about investigations units. You know, you can either get it right or get it very wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and don't just introduce them, these units, and then leave them. You know, you introduce them, and then you deliberately set a process of checking and rechecking, verification, corroboration of stuff, independent of the people you have actually put in this investigations unit, to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself, because there are many things that have went wrong in the past, and so you do that. And in addition, there are people who in our country have positioned themselves as thought leaders, as people who take time to think about thinking, about you know, what are the issues that affect us the most? Is it stage 6? Is it the economy? Is it unemployment? Is it, you know, the social media stuff that you were talking about earlier? And as Times Live would have said, listen, let's get people who are authoritative and bring them on our platforms, and let these be people who lead conversations about, you know, how South Africa is changing, how it's mutating, etc., etc.
Right.
When you do that against a world that is freer and people are spreading misinformation,
yes,
society out there sits and says, but where am I going to get stuff that I can trust? And also, I suppose I'm forgetting one last thing that's important. And at the beginning of this Y2K stuff and and social media, in fact, news website stuff.
Yes.
Many of us sat and said, we want to be the first to bring you the news. You know, people are no longer going to wait for 7 o'clock to get their TV news or the newspaper the following day. So let's be quick. Speed was the thing. And so, you know, many mistakes were made because of that type of strategy.
Of wanting to break, yes.
Yes. And so part of what is changing, which is reflected in this Reuters report, is that we are more conscious of the mistakes that happened. And we are now saying we would rather not be the first, but be a platform that gets it right consistently.
Right.
You know.
That's interesting, because, I mean, essentially what you've said is that with the advent of social media, people have come back to mainstream media and to journalists to say, we need a center.
Yes.
In the center, we need to have somewhere to go where we can fact check and clear out, you know, the dust and know what's real and what isn't. Do you agree with that 61% though?
All right, so just to qualify that, the Reuters survey is based on an online survey. So it means that, and they do declare this themselves, that was mainly with English speakers, predominantly in a younger market. Of course, people online are largely affluent. So the first thing that people shouldn't get too excited about is that this is not a representative survey of South Africa. It's a snapshot of a very particular group of people using a very particular kind of research in order to get these results. What is interesting and important, though, is that this is longitudinal. They've been running this for the last 4 years, and they have seen an increase in that particular sample's trust in the media over the last 4 years, over this period of time. That were just before COVID to now, we're at 61%. I think the figure jumped by almost 9%, which is amazing. So we're sitting at number 2. What is also interesting is that there's a second piece of research that also happens annually, which is the Edelman Trust Barometer, the Edelman Trust Research. And there, they seem to flip-flop what they do. So as you can see, 61% of people ask, do you think you can trust media most of the time? And 61% of people said, yes. The Edelman Trust Barometer says, has South Africa in the media distrust section with the remaining 42. They use the 42% to say people distrust the media and more people trust business leaders and businesses and corporate entities. But of course, that is based on who the Edelman's research is actually focused on. So they put them in the media distrust pile. What is interesting in the media distrust pile is that we are ahead of countries like Britain and the USA and even Japan. So we must take the research with a pinch of salt, okay, and always qualify what those results say. But it's the best that we have so far. And we see some correlation between these two studies, the Edelman and the Reuters. But we need to know it's not a nationally representative sample.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you compare the two researchers, because essentially what you're saying is, depending on what angle you look at it, we're talking about distrust or a growth in trust, depending on from which side you look at it. You talked about social media not being a good representative of the country, and I completely agree with that. Not everybody is on Twitter. But if you go on to the Twitter streets, I don't think that people on Twitter are going to very much agree with that 61%. I mean, let's have that discussion. Give us a call. If you look at Twitter and the trends, the attacks that journalists get on social media, it's hard to believe that there's growing trust in South African media.
Yeah, no. People especially on Twitter, are very passionate. You know, I mean, I know that even if you use me as a sample of one, I'd write something about President Ramaphosa, and I'll be accused of being part of President Ramaphosa's PR team.
Yes.
Yeah, you see this Times Live, Sunday Times, people are going to defend Ramaphosa and all the noise. And the thing might trend a particular Sunday because a section on Twitter is completely against what I wrote.
Right.
2 weeks later, I write something about Phala and I say, no, the president must go. You know? What the hell? Why do we have a president who allegedly keeps money in mattresses and couches and he doesn't even afford us the courtesy to explain? No, he must go. I say that. On Twitter, people say, you see, we know you're EFF, you are so it completely switches.
Yes.
You're RET or, and I'm like, I was the president's PR 2 days ago, and now I'm the president.
Now I'm RET.
I'm RET. Yeah. But it's okay. It's okay. So I use those examples to make the point that you know. People on especially on Twitter, on social media, often aren't very consistent. I mean, some of the people who accuse me of one thing, forget a few days later they accuse me of the other, or sometimes they don't. It's just a section that accuses you, and then you look at that, and if you look at that as being representative of what the views are on Twitter, then you'll be mistaken. because there are other people who might be looking and not saying anything.
Right.
And then when you write something different, the people who didn't say anything earlier come out and they say,
they've got something to say now.
What nonsense is this?
Yeah. You're passionate. It's interesting because you talk about the responses that you would get to political stories.
Yes.
And I say this quite often, that journalists operate in a very politicized environment. We report on politics. But I want to come back and talk about, whether it's the egg or the chicken first, right? If it's, if we're influencing politics as media, or if politics influences the work that we do. And we'll discuss that after we take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Media and Society. My name is Naledi Molewa. We're in conversation still with Makudu Sifara and Jude Mathurin. We're, of course, talking about a study by Reuters, the Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism, that ranks South Africa number 2 out of 46 countries whose media is most trusted. And according to this report, 61% of the South African population trusts South Africa's media. Give us a call, 011-714-6841. What's that name of the guest who's on? August from Eastern Cape. August, good morning to you.
Good morning, lady. How are you?
I'm well, sir. How are you? Tell us your thoughts.
Okay. What I will tell you now, I listen every day, 24 hours, the media news of South Africa. And that's the best what I see every day. And what I will say you, when you go out in the field, the police with all these diaries for you. You understand?
I'm not quite understanding what you're saying. The question I'm asking is, do you have trust in South African media, and do you agree with that 61%? So do you have trust in South Africa? Yes.
Yes. I'm trying. Yes, I trust. Because I look every day my news, 24 hours.
Okay.
It's very good.
Okay, well, that's encouraging. August, thank you so much for calling in. We'll take more calls, 011-714-6841. Judah, I'm going to come back to you with that chicken and egg situation, right? Makudu was talking earlier about the feedback that he gets depending on what story he covers, that one moment he's the president's PR, the next moment he's RET, according to social media. And I said, we operate in a political environment. But what do you make of that chicken and egg? Do we influence politics, or does politics influence media?
Well, any student of media will know that the media is a major influence on political society, because the way that we relate to our politics is mediated. We don't engage with our councils or parliament or politicians by meeting and talking to them. Most often we engage through them by meeting them in a space that is mediated, whether that's through a newspaper, a TV show, a call-in show, or directly via social media by following them. So we do have an influence on the political process. We know that we have an influence on the political process through our coverage. We have through our investigation that uncovers things like corruption, and that influences trust of politicians. Politicians obviously want to influence their trust of the media sometimes to influence that message that is getting passed on. And obviously there's this process of political communication and the creation of misinformation. And that also affects media trust. You know, we had in the mid-noughties the first signs of the attacks on the media with Zuma's idea that he was having a trial by media. And those statements were really to start to critique the dominant narratives that were coming up, that were looking at investigations into him. And for example, at that time, Shabir Sheikh was now a free man. But the idea here is that it's a two-way street. The whole fact that Makudu is both being pilloried by one side and praised by another, then praised by one side and pilloried by another, means that he's operating without fear or favor. And that essentially is a good thing. Trust in news is about how people view the content that is created, but people also increasingly view journalists and view the institutions that create media in a particular light. And that light isn't just based on how they see the facts and news presented. It is mediated through a political lens, through an ideological lens, through media users' own sympathies and backgrounds. And that is one of the major influences of why people choose to trust the media at some times rather than other times.
Yeah, I want to ask you one last question, Jude, before I let you go. We also need to be very sober in this discussion and say there are shortcomings, right? Let's look at some of those shortcomings. 61% isn't bad. It could be better. Jude?
Yeah, 61% is where it sits at the moment. Obviously, we're really doing well in terms of the Reuters study. Most news brands, where we had a distrust factor in this study, most news brands had about between 7% to a maximum 10% distrust. We should be speaking, I think, increasingly about why do people distrust? Why is there such a high ratio of distrust for certain media organizations? So some news organizations are very happy. News 24 was really happy. I think I've got an 85% trust ratio. Whereas some organizations, like that one organization that published stories about 10 babies that we're still waiting to see, even though it had the 5th highest reach of all media organizations in the online category, was sitting right at the bottom of the trust file with only 68% people trusting it compared with, say, News 24's. And of course, there are reasons for that. Organizations need to work on that.
Yeah. Jude, well, thank you so much for speaking to us. We really have enjoyed your time. That's Jude Mathurin, a media, culture and communications lecturer at the Nelson Mandela University. Makhulu, let's talk about what you need to keep your newsroom operating at its optimum, right? And we know the shortages around skills and resources right now in the industry.
Yeah, it's every editor's nightmare concern. So the question all the time is whether or not you would be able to get the resources you need to do or to implement the ideas and the strategies to effect change. And so, I mean, I spoke earlier about planning. So if you go into planning with your news editors, chances are that there's a lot of ideas that are going to come up. But your challenge is going to be covering the news of the day and being able to have additional resources and giving them sufficient time to go deeper and
do the work diligently.
And kind of add depth.
And listen, that's a challenge in so many newsrooms really at this point, not just here in South Africa but across the world. Thank you so much for your time though, and keep up the good work. That of course is Mr. Makhulu Sefara, editor of Times Live. Thank you so much for watching our show Media and Society. We hope that you'll join us again same time, same place next week. From me and the rest of the team, have yourselves a blessed Sunday. Stay seated for a moment.